What is up, stats gamer boys and girls? Today we are here to ask and answer one simple question. Out of male and female Clark High School students, who can recall the most amount of YouTube videos in 20 seconds? More functionally, which group of y'all are bigger nerds? And today we're going to jump and dive right into this data that we collected throughout our experimentation process and see if we can't answer that question. But first, let's go to the experimental design with my main man, Day.
In our experiment, we incorporated the 4 fundamental principles of experimental design in order to collect and analyze accurate data and form a relationship between male and female Clark High School students and their ability to recall YouTubers. We attained a random assignment of subjects to treatments by utilizing a random number generator between 1 and 2 for each lunchroom table on the eastern half of the cafeteria. We then selected only the lunchroom tables that received the 2 value. We then did the same procedure for every individual sitting at the table, randomly assigning them values of 1 and 2, selecting individuals that received a 2. Our group then approached these individuals and asked them if they wished to take part in our data collection, stating if they wanted to participate in our experiment. And if yes, one of us asked, "How many YouTubers can you name in 20 seconds?" Replicating this process until receiving at least 30 participants for both the male and female groups. Our groups blocked the data into 2 blocks, high school girls and high school boys, in which both groups underwent random selection, and those selected were tested for recall and added to their respective data sets.
Hey yo, welcome back. Stack Zach here again, and now that we've done all that wonderful data collection, it's time to set up the actual experiment part of this experiment using our hypothesis testing methods. And the first and most important part of that are our hypothesis tests. Obviously, our null hypothesis is that the mu of m and the mu of f, our male and female data, are going to be equal to each other. And our hypothesis, the HA, is actually that the mu of m is greater than the mu of f. We expect boys to be able to recall more because, let's be honest, they're spending more time on YouTube watching their gaming videos, watching their Fortnite. Now that we have that established, we're going to be moving on to the next most important part. Before we do any math, we have to make sure our conditions are met. So let's block it out right here now. Randomization. Because we used a somewhat stratified method of random sampling, for our purposes, we're going to consider this met so we can proceed. Secondly, independence. Because both sample sizes, the male sample being 30 and the female sample being 33, are taken out of a pool the size of 3,400 kids, we can safely assume that they are independent, and instead of being 10%, they're closer to 1% of the entire population in size each. Next, let's move on to our final one, which is going to be, is our samples big enough? And now, I will admit, we got a little bit lazy on that male sample being right at 30, but as per central limit theorem, it's greater than or equal to 30, so that sample's going to be large enough. And obviously, for our female sampling, it's going to be 33. It's greater than or equal than 30. So it is safe, at least for our purposes, to proceed with a normal model. And I'm going to skip the calculations because we've already done those a million times in class. First things first, we need to find our t-statistic using that wonderful formula. And then once we have that t-statistic, we can plug it in and take our p-value. Since we're using a very standardized confidence level of 95%, we just need to make sure that p is passing below a 0.05. And obviously, by the data there, it does. And now that we have those numbers, we can move on to making some wonderful conclusions about them. So let's hand it off to my main man, Elijah.
So after finding a p-value of 0.009774, we are going to reject the null hypothesis. So the data is suggesting that if there was not a difference between the number of YouTube channels boys and girls at Clark High School could name in 20 seconds, we would only find values as extreme as these approximately 9 out of 1,000 times. So overall, the data is suggesting that boys can name more YouTube channels in 20 seconds than girls can at Clark High School.
And there you have it. It looks like us gamer boys are watching a bit more YouTube, or at least we can remember a few of them off the top of our head better than the girls out there. But you know what? That's because we're intellectuals. We're out here learning. We're educating ourselves on the digital frontier. Even though half the time the first 2 answers were PewDiePie and T-Series. Don't know why that was. I think it was still a pretty interesting experiment. Thanks for tagging along with StatZach, and hopefully I won't be seeing you again because I have to edit these, and it's probably like 5 in the morning, dog. Anyway, see y'all later.
Me, somebody love.